We are pleased to have you join us on an exploration of the existentialism father, Søren Kierkegaard's thoughts and ideas. Today, we will explore his theory of anxiety, which goes beyond just fear. Anxiety, according to Kierkegaard, is the dizziness of freedom, a force that alters our lives by being both disorienting and groundbreaking. Come with us as we investigate how this existential fear, rather than being a drag, can pave the way to a life that is truer to ourselves and more satisfying. Prepare to face your darkest fears and welcome the power of choice in a way you never thought possible. Many consider Søren Kierkegaard, who was born in 1813 in Copenhagen, Denmark, to be the person who founded existentialism. Challenging the intellectual atmosphere of his day, his works probe the intricacies of human life, religion, and uniqueness. Kierkegaard's philosophical writings are highly introspective and autobiographical, reflecting his own life's ups and downs. Kierkegaard dove into the subjective experience of being human, in contrast to many philosophers who centered on abstract, universal principles. From psychology and ethics to theology and philosophy, Kierkegaard's works span a vast array of subjects, all marked by a poetic and frequently paradoxical style. Fear and trembling, the sickness unto death, and either/or are among his most notable works. The topics covered in these texts range from the stages of life to the nature of despair and the leap of faith. The importance of free will and personal accountability is fundamental to Kierkegaard's philosophies. He thought that every person had to find their own way through life and make their own decisions about how they live. Anxiety, which he views as inherent to the human condition, is the natural progression from his focus on free will to his investigation of the topic. Several subsequent existentialists, such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Martin Heidegger, built upon and refined Kierkegaard's ideas. If you want to dig into Kierkegaard's theory of anxiety, you need to get a handle on his philosophy first. We can understand his view of anxiety as a universal human experience by looking at his life and the circumstances in which he wrote. No longer is Kierkegaard's investigation of anxiety a dry academic exercise. Rather, it is an introspective look at the meaning of genuine existence in an uncertain and potentially rewarding world. Understanding the difference between anxiety and fear. Kierkegaard distinguishes between anxiety and fear in the concept of anxiety. According to him, fear occurs when one perceives a concrete danger. We fear something, whether it's a person, an event, or a threat, because it's a purposeful emotion. Because it is tangible and outside of ourselves, fear usually makes us do something to get away from or lessen the impact of the danger we perceive. Conversely, anxiety is less concrete and more abstract. A dizziness of freedom, as Kierkegaard calls it, is the profound and unnerving realization of the enormous opportunities and decisions that are available to us. There is no tangible object that evokes anxiety, in contrast to fear. Anxiety comes from inside, from thinking about how our lives are so vague and undefined. Our anxiety is connected to the weight of responsibility that accompanies our freedom. Kierkegaard uses the account of Adam and Eve in the Bible to demonstrate this idea. Adam was naive and innocent before the fall, not because of the fruit per se, but rather because of the prospect of disobeying God's command. He feels anxious whenever the temptation to eat it arises. This unease stems from the fact that he has just come to terms with his independence and the weight of decision-making. For a better understanding of Kierkegaard's larger existential philosophy, it is necessary to distinguish between fear and anxiety. Anxiety is more prevalent and long-lasting than fear, which is more manageable and frequently fleeting. It is a reflection of our inner conflict between the certainty of living our lives as we see fit and the inherent uncertainty that comes with this autonomy. Anxiety, in Kierkegaard's view, is an inherent part of being human. Rather than trying to rid ourselves of it, we must face and make sense of it as we go toward authenticity and self-realization. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. A profound and disorienting experience is realized when one realizes the extent of their own freedom and the limitless possibilities that come with it. Kierkegaard's concept of anxiety as the dizziness of freedom captures this, that we have free will to make decisions at any time, and those decisions can have far-reaching and unexpected consequences is the root cause of this anxiety. The idea that we control our own destinies makes this independence thrilling and terrifying at the same time. Whenever we find ourselves on the brink of something new, this dizziness sets in. We are acutely aware of our capacity to behave in ways that are not predetermined, as opposed to merely reacting to outside stimuli, as is the case with fear. When faced with a seemingly endless number of ways our lives could develop, this realization can make us feel dizzy. To explain this feeling, Kierkegaard uses the image of being on a precipice. There's a risk of falling, but there's also a chance to leap, representing our agency in making decisions. This kind of fear is fundamental to being human because it mirrors both our agency and the unpredictability of life. It should not be eradicated, but rather comprehended and incorporated into our daily lives. For Kierkegaard, facing this fear is crucial to maturation and self-awareness. The gravity of our freedom and the importance of our decisions are brought to light by this. As we welcome the dizziness of freedom, we comprehend the gravity of our duty and the significance of being genuine in our daily lives. Instead of giving in to peer pressure or conforming to unrealistic standards, we should be intentional about making decisions that are in line with our authentic selves. Thus, anxiety motivates us to live life to the fullest by forcing us to confront our fears and find the courage to explore our own identity. How anxiety affects people's growth. In Kierkegaard's view, anxiety is an essential part of maturation. Anxiety, he says, is not a bad thing in and of itself, but rather a prerequisite for development and discovery. We gain a better appreciation for our freedom and the obligations that accompany it when we face and comprehend our anxiety. According to Kierkegaard's theory, growing into one's own identity is associated with anxiety. It forces us to face the facts of life and our authentic selves. This confrontation is challenging because it requires us to face our frailties, our vulnerabilities, and the unpredictability of life. But it is in going through this that we can learn more about our values and identities. The importance of anxiety in helping people become more genuine is an important part of how anxiety develops throughout life. It is Kierkegaard's belief that a large portion of society is mired in inauthenticity, meaning that they follow the crowd without giving any thought to their own values, goals, and aspirations. When we're anxious, it breaks our complacency and makes us think critically about our lives and the assumptions we make. Further, according to Kierkegaard, anxiety is a natural component of the spiritual and ethical aspects of maturation. This causes us to consider the consequences of our actions and the moral decisions we've made. By taking stock of our beliefs and aspirations, we can find a deeper sense of direction and purpose in life. Concern, according to Kierkegaard, can lead one closer to God in the spiritual realm. A leap beyond rational certainty, he says, is necessary for genuine faith, and that this leap is frequently accompanied by fear. Trusting in something beyond our immediate comprehension is required when we embrace this anxiety, which can lead to a more genuine and dedicated faith. In the end, the way Kierkegaard sees anxiety shows how it can change people. By facing our fears head-on, we can grow in self-awareness, authenticity, and fulfillment, empowering ourselves to face life's challenges with more conviction and purpose. Kierkegaard's journey to authenticity, conquering anxiety. If we want to live our lives to the fullest, authentic selves, we need to learn to manage and conquer our anxieties, which is why Kierkegaard devotes so much space to discussing the topic. If you want to get over your anxiety, Kierkegaard says you have to accept it as a part of being human and use it to push yourself to learn and grow. Recognizing and facing one's anxiety head-on is, according to Kierkegaard, an important first step toward conquering it. To do this, we must acknowledge that our freedom, choices, and the inherent uncertainties of life are the sources of our anxiety, and accept them as such. By tackling our fears directly, we can start to understand them better and feel less overwhelmed by them. The significance of making thoughtful decisions is also emphasized by Kierkegaard. He believes that being authentic is not giving in to other people's expectations or pressures, but rather being true to one's own values and being oneself. To accomplish this, one must be completely honest with themselves and have the guts to make choices that may be unorthodox or challenging. The feeling of powerlessness that frequently accompanies anxiety can be alleviated by resolving to follow one's own path in life. For Kierkegaard, faith is the key to conquering anxiety. He urges people to take a leap of faith, which means they should trust in something bigger than themselves and embrace life's uncertainties. This leap doesn't mean we don't believe in reason. It just means we recognize that there are some things in life that defy logic. People can overcome the fears associated with autonomy and personal choice by finding meaning and purpose in their faith. The key to Kierkegaard's authentic life, according to him, is learning to live with anxiety so that it enhances, rather than diminishes, who we are. Fear can be turned into strength when we see it for what it really is, a manifestation of our boundless potential and freedom. As a result of this metamorphosis, we are able to experience life to the fullest, more genuine extent possible, with a stronger sense of direction, identity, and harmony with nature. We gain a deep respect for the intricacies of human life as we finish our investigation of Søren Kierkegaard's theory of anxiety. Anxiety, according to Kierkegaard's thinking, is not just a nuisance, it's an essential part of being free and unique. Authentic bravery and self-discovery are possible when we welcome the dizziness of freedom into our lives. In his writings, Kierkegaard urges us to face our fears directly, to live in accordance with our authentic selves, and to welcome the life-altering influence of religion and introspection. By overcoming our fears and opening ourselves up to the limitless possibilities of life, we set out on a path towards self-actualization and fulfillment. May Kierkegaard's words of wisdom illuminate our path as we continue to navigate life's intricacies, prompting us to be fearless and genuine even when faced with doubt.